Welcome to Inside the House podcast, episode number 5 at the Polypipe Professional Development Centre with Becky Appleyard-Kelly, who's the Channel Product Manager for Building Products at Polypipe. Today we had a really interesting conversation discussing things across the history of Polypipe, from early days, the management structure, the who's who within the business. We also went through the brand research and market research they've recently conducted to their market. So a lot to do with plumbers, underfloor heating, engineers, etc. We also discuss the brand loyalty, and that's a huge thing for brands nowadays, getting the loyalty from their customers. So that's a really good little segment. And last of all, innovation. Well, we'd love a bit of innovation on here. That is definitely worth waiting to the end of the podcast to find about innovation. Becky Appleyard-Kelly, look after channel manager for Polypipe Building Products?
Yes.
That's correct, yeah, cool. Today in the Polypipe Professional Development Centre here, which is a lovely building we're here today. What has your career at Polypipe been since you started?
I've been really lucky in my career at Polypipe. I started 4 years ago as a marketing executive. I'd got 4 years before that in something completely unrelated industry-wise, and Polypipe was a really good new challenge. It felt like stepping up a league. And it was a little bit of a trial by fire. Mm-hmm. 2 years of absolute manic getting involved in everything, and a huge range of the marketing mix, and it brought me on leaps and bounds. Then I was promoted to the PR and brand manager, looking specifically after PR for building products, but also all of our events and our case studies and our internal comms. And then 3 months ago I was promoted to channel marketing manager. So now I look after anything that appears in a merchant branch, and that can be anything from a specific campaign to merchandising for general shelving stock products.
Okay, yeah, so it's quite a wealth of experience in this area. And obviously when you was at school you wanted to be a channel manager for Polypipe. I'm sure that was on your career tick list.
I wish I knew it existed.
Really?
It's one of those jobs that I just had no idea was a thing. So I did an English degree, really had aspirations to be an author or an editor, work in a big publishing house. Quickly realised that you have to move to London for that kind of thing. Yeah. And it's really competitive. Oh, where, sorry?
New York.
Oh, New York would have been better.
Yeah, New York would be a good one.
Yeah. And instead moved into placements with agencies looking at marketing. So from an unrelated degree, but lots of work experience and a solid foundation in knowing how to put together a piece of content and writing. Yeah. And that led me to marketing.
Yeah, that's actually key. I was reading a post the other day on LinkedIn by another marketing industry leader, I suppose, and he was saying about how much the fact that there's a lot of people spurting out loads of 400-600 word content that's crap. And actually, if you get someone who can write and get the emotion across, I think he was trying to actually get the emotion of the, and he gave a couple of examples of how to word it. And one of them was to say that you'd get someone who can write. He said, get someone who can write, and they can write good content because he's engaging. Because what most people lack is getting the engagement, and that's a.
And it's so challenging in this industry because a lot of it's quite technical. Yeah. So trying to translate what's absolutely useful knowledge and really essential to a professional to know from our product development team into something that they can read without being bored to tears is a really specific but useful skill in industry marketing. Definitely.
And it's not the most sexiest of products. I mean, it's some of the smart home stuff we'll cover off in a minute, and it's some of the new innovative products, but it's not sexy.
No, it's plastic pipes in its rawest form.
Exactly. There's not much to it.
It creeps up on you though. Yeah. When you've worked here for a little while, you begin to spot all the products out in the real world. You're sort of driving along a motorway and you see the purple ducting and you go, oh, that one's ours. Or you start looking at the manhole covers around your house and you go, oh, that one's ours. Yeah. And it sneaks up on you. It
does. I did bathroom showroom, ran a bathroom showroom for 6 years, and it was the same. Every toilet you went to, you'd be looking at the brand. It's obsessive. It's really bad.
And trying to explain that to someone that doesn't work in the industry, they just laugh at you, don't they?
You walk up, oh, look, that's an Alphen toilet, or that's an Owen Shanks toilet, or that's a Jurevit toilet, whatever it may be. And you go through the whole range, and you're like, oh dear, it's not good. So today we're going to cover off a little bit about the history of Polypipe. So where did it all start?
It started right here in Doncaster. So it was a really small company to begin with. About 38 years ago, in the 80s, with a single site, not particularly a large product range or a large number of employees, but in the intervening 38 years, it has had management buyouts, it's grown new sites, it's acquired other companies to expand its enormous range. So we now service markets from residential, which is what we do at Building Products, through to big civil infrastructure projects like motorways and airports and train stations, which our civils division look after, through to high-rise residential, which our building services division look after. And it's had a couple of management buyouts, and it's now floated on the stock market, and we are a FTSE 250 company now.
Yeah. That's amazing, isn't it? All in 38 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Polypipe Building Products has 4 sites in Doncaster now, and 1,200 employees across those 4 sites. So quite a journey from where we started.
Yeah, that's a big difference. And you've also got other sites part of the Polypipe group up and down the country. Mm-hmm. Literally, do you know how many there is across the country?
I believe there's 12.
12
total.
Yeah. That's good, yes. It's a very big business, and everywhere you go nowadays, people will see the Polypipe trucks normally
flying
up and down the motorways. we see them on the way up here, so that's really good. So from a brand perspective and a marketing perspective, what sort of innovative things have you guys been looking at?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things we're not best known for, but I'd really like that to change because there's such weight behind the innovation that we do. But to take it back a step, we wanted to get a good idea of how we're perceived out in the marketplace. We did some research with installers last year, and it was done anonymously. It was fronted by CIPHE to make sure that we weren't getting biased responses. They had a sample of about 900 professionals working in the plumbing and heating sectors. What we learnt was that they value a brand. Not all of them stick to the same brand every time, but 56% of them said they would pay extra for a brand because they believe it to be worth it, which was interesting because so often you hear people want the best price, and actually price was the 9th most important factor in driving a buying decision. Top was reliability. They don't want to be called back once they've fitted it. Second was just, does it feel like a quality product? And third, funnily enough, was availability. They wanted it to be available for them to purchase from a wide variety of stockists or just their local stockist. About a third of them said they would get up and walk out if their preferred brand was not in stock at their local stockist, and they would either wait for it to come in or go find it elsewhere, which was surprising for us because you so often hear the price argument. But that gave us real confidence that, okay, this is a great point to build on. So we did ask about, how do you feel about Polypipe? What words do you associate with Polypipe? And we got reliable, quality, and respected, which is, again, a great building point for us.
Definitely.
Another one that came out was value for money, good value. So not cheapest. I don't think we can ever claim to be cheapest. As a UK manufacturer, our costs are going to be higher than certain imported products. But to be perceived as value for money, again, is a fantastic base to build on. So back to the innovation part. So that wasn't one of the words that came out as being associated with us, but I really feel like it should be. And I think it's a big hidden element of what we do. It's just not visible for many, many years. So last year we launched a range of new waste traps, and that industry hasn't seen any real developments for decades. It's not, as you say, a sexy product. No,
and it's not something people really associate these sort of developments with.
It does a job under a sink, out
under
of sight.
Yeah, exactly.
So we launched a new range, and it had real engineered changes to it. So there was a fit right insertion aid to make sure you can guide a pipe in a really tight, not visible space. There were improvements to nuts and seals to make sure that the joint integrity was as good as it possibly could be. And these were all aimed at making sure the installer felt that this was a quality, reliable, next level product. But they only saw it once it hit market, and of course we'd seen that opportunity years ago. We'd developed a concept, a prototype, we'd gone through several rounds of user testing, then we had to make the investment in the capital and the process changes. Then you have to establish all the quality testing after that, which takes another 6 weeks. And then you get to launch it and show it to people. So we're doing this all the time. At any one time, we have 2 or 3 research development teams working on next generation projects. And it's not something we can shout about until we're right at the end. But I really want people to know that we're working on it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and how's that gone, the new product? How's it been received by the market?
Really well. Pleasantly surprised because we hadn't been perceived as the market leader in traps.
No.
People are quite brand loyal in that sector.
We found that in your research earlier. That's what I was going to say. And that was the thing that you see in different marketplaces with boilers would be a good example.
Absolutely.
If you look at the boilers industry with the likes of Worcester, Baxi, Potterton, whichever it may be, or Wiesmann, for instance, people will say, I'm a Worcester installer, or I'm a Baxi Potterton installer, whichever one it may be. And I think with the underfloor and end building products across the whole range, people tend to buy into the system, they tend to have all the tools that go with the system. So you're right, I think that's where the difficulty is almost you want every single student who comes out of a college,
you
need them to be coming out.
The experience of having fitted a Polypipe product.
Yeah, 100%, yeah. That's the key, isn't it?
The traps launch went really well, which was really nice. We'd given all the possible logical reasons to give this product a try. It had 4 different engineered improvements. It is now absolutely on a par, if not the best trap out in the marketplace.
Yep.
What helped us to start a discussion with plumbers who previously didn't particularly like our traps was we have a charity association with Help for Heroes.
Yep.
So one of our traps is an endorsed product, and 80 pence from the sale of every trap goes straight to the charity.
Okay,
and that's a minimum £25,000 a year commitment.
Yeah.
So that was a really lovely hearts and minds conversation. So we had both product integrity and look at this other fantastic thing we're doing.
Yeah.
And we found Help Heroes was really it resonated in construction. 1 in 4 people leaving the armed forces will retrain for a career in construction. So a lot of the people buying these products are themselves ex-forces or working with somebody who is, and that charity really does mean something to our customers.
Yeah, perfect. That's really good. I like that. That's a nice thing. And one of the features with it was to do with the coating on the trap, was it?
Yes. So BioCoat is an antimicrobial additive. It kills 99% of germs within 2 hours of contact. So that's added as a polymer during the moulding process rather than as a coating afterwards. And that means that the lifetime of the product, that protection is in place. So the benefit of that is that it kills the buildup of biofilm, and that potentially could cause you a blockage further down the line or allow bad smells to wash back up into the house. So you've got a benefit for the homeowner, a benefit for the homeowner, and a benefit for the installer. And it also gives you as an installer something professional and knowledgeable to talk to your homeowner about. I've picked this really good quality product for you because you just won't have any issues with it. Yeah,
no, that's really good. And then obviously the idea of that is to get you guys to the top and the forefront of being the brand leader for the traps.
Yes, and actually it's great for our merchants as well because they now have a credible choice in their products that they stock.
And with other innovation, what else have you got around other innovation?
So I believe Giles is already talking to you about the Smart Plus. I won't steal his thunder. Adam has some plastic plumbing fittings in development, which I'm not allowed to know a lot about at this stage.
That's fine. But it's going back to that thing, you are still innovating.
Oh, absolutely. The next big thing for us is going to be soil later this year.
Okay.
So another traditionally non-sexy product range that hasn't seen a lot of change. It's the stuff that takes your waste products out of your house. But we're going to have some significant and wide-ranging improvements across the pipe and the fittings that we're going to be able to shout about later this year. Okay,
cool. And you've already recently relaunched or made a big song and dance about the acoustic soil recently, haven't you?
Yes. So sound dampening, really good for anything that's multi-occupied dwelling. So anything slightly higher rise residential or very high rise residential, or for developers who are doing a higher end house, something with maybe 2 or 3 floors, quite a lot of higher end features like a really premium kitchen, underfloor heating, sound dampening waste systems actually do make that slight difference to how the homeowner lives in the house and how it can be positioned in a marketplace.
Definitely, yeah. I think if you're ground floor flat and or a 4-story townhouse, for instance, then there's a big difference to the actual acoustics within the house because you can hear it. It's just what it is.
It must be really frustrating to hear a toilet flushing 4 stories above you and just go, oh.
Exactly, yeah, definitely. Especially if it happens to run down the back of your headboard. But yeah, that's really good. So Polypipe, you mentioned earlier, obviously the long-standing history, and obviously from that point of view, I'm sure you've got a lot of people who've been here a long time. So the career and development side of it.
We have some brilliant success stories. So our current managing director has got 25 years service with the company and actually came straight out of university as a graduate at 21 years old and progressed through operational roles. He was operations director before he was managing director, so he really does understand how product gets from moulding to picking to transport, which is lovely because he knows Polypipe inside out, and it shows that we do have a good track record of promoting talent. Our supply chain director has a similar story, began as a truck driver and progressed through various operational roles and is now our director on our exec board. Another really lovely advantage of being a local employer with 1,200 employees in the Doncaster area is that you begin to see generations of the same family coming through. You hear the same surnames over and over again, and you think that must be such a nice thing in their family to think this was a lovely place to work and I'd like my children to follow me through. Every quarter we're having long service awards, and it's really not uncommon to see 20, 25, 30 years of service. Yeah,
well, the company I'm at, I've been there for 20 years on the 1st of March, so a similar sort of thing. And if you look at our MD, he was a lorry driver, so interesting, similar sort of chains. But what's interesting, and going back to the people leaving university, college, and going into an industry, quite often you'll see is that after 6 months, a year, whatever, they feel that they're not actually getting anywhere, and you think, so hang on, it's such a short space of time, and this is just a proven point. 25 years MD, you know, it doesn't happen over 3 weeks and 6 months. And I think the fast-paced social, the speed of WhatsApp, instant messaging, the everything to do with social media, everything to do with the Amazon effect, as I call it. You can order something and get it next day or same day in 2 hours. Everyone wants everything now. So when you leave university and you're used to that environment, within 3 months, why am I not MD?
Yes, within 3 months I need that promotion. I do think there's a bit of a story around rethinking what success looks like. Success isn't potentially you've progressed through a role so quickly you never really learned how to do it, and but now manage a group of people. That's great, but are you managing them well? Have you really put the time in? Are you not as green or wet behind the ears as you really ought to be for a role of that stature? We've actually just launched a graduate programme called Polypipe Plus, and we hired our first graduate through it in November. And it's a 2-year programme, so they get exposure to various different departments, different sites. They will do a work project with people from cross departments that will have a real business impact. It will be something like, let's redesign our yard to make sure that we've got the most efficient picking and packing process and we can get more loads out the door. How are we going to analyse that and measure success? So these are real world projects with exposure to lots of different things, and at the end of that 2-year period they will choose a specialty and then begin a career path in it. But it's deliberately slow. I think our industry, manufacturing, there's so much technical knowledge and then real departmental specification that it's unrealistic to think you can progress through really quickly. That said, the rewards are absolutely there if you can put the time and the work in. I agree with you, and sometimes you look at it, I'm sure you've got some people who've been here for say 30 years, etc. in the manufacturing. They know the manufacturing, they look at the polymers, I don't know all the product terms, but the things, and they say, oh, that isn't right, or that's right. They look at a product and go, hang on guys, that ain't the right product. And then you'll get, oh no, we've ordered it in, this is the thing. Well, no, but it's not going to, and they'll know by visually looking at it. We was at Just Trays last week, and they were saying that there's a guy in the factory floor who can look and say, do you know, that ain't going to set. You can look at the resin and go, that ain't going to work. Just purely, but knowing what the temperature is inside, knowing what the temperature is outside, looking at the blend of the mix, and you'll know straight away. And that's experience. It's just experience. Such
and you need that
instincts.
But we kind of expect that in a manufacturing environment. When you go to into an office in marketing, or it could be transport logistics, you get someone who come in from university and go, yeah, I know the next big thing overnight, and then obviously what you don't realise is they get a pushback from people within the department who've been there for 10, 20 years, knowing the business. No, we've got to do this way now, because everyone wants to make a change, and they don't succeed because it's a bit of a problem.
I think it would be an advantageous skill to have resilience and patience. To be able to push ideas without feeling pressures about them if they're not quite right at that time.
True. Because some days it's not right today, but it could be right in 5 years' time.
Absolutely.
Really good. Becky, it's been absolutely brilliant. Been really interesting. Excellent, thank you.
Cheers.